Have you tried diet after diet without finding long-term success? Well, believe it or not, it's not you. So many people think they know what they need to do to get healthy, but there's so much misinformation out there that many of us are sabotaging our health goals without even knowing it. Hi, I'm Carrie, a wife, mom, educator, and certified nutrition coach. After being frustrated by dieting and all the confusion out there about what actually works, I decided to figure it out. And what I discovered on my journey challenged everything I thought I knew about nutrition. And the solution is actually much simpler than you realize. So now, I'm on a mission to disrupt everything you think you know about nutrition too. Welcome to the Diet Disruptors Podcast. Well, hey, Diet Disruptors, Carrie here, and I knew from the moment I met our guest that she was going to have to be on our podcast. And gosh, not just it's not, I mean, she's on our podcast, and I knew she was going to have to be because I knew she was going to be such an amazing inspiration for so many of you. But I got to be honest, she is on the podcast way earlier than I thought she'd be on the podcast. So I'm excited to introduce you to Jean, who I actually had the pleasure of talking to on her very first call with us, which doesn't happen very often because I don't get to take very many first initial calls with people. But I always say that I swear, God gives me the people I'm supposed to talk to. And Jean was one of those women. Jean is an educator. Her heart is huge. She is a caregiver for her parents, literally moved to go take care of her parents who has ailing health, and is when you hear her talk, you're going to be like, this woman is intelligent. She is gritty. She is inspirational. She is articulate. I mean, everything about her. And when I met her not that long ago, she was literally dying. And I'm just going to say it like that, Jean. I'm just going to say it like that. Jean has diabetes, and at her age, she was living almost like a 75-year-old. And what are you, 50?
52.
52. And in less than 2 months, in basically a month, let's be honest, Jean's entire life changed. And I love that we can be a catalyst for change, but at the end of the day, and this is what I say to all of our clients, I will put the gutter guards down in the bowling alley. I'm not going to let you go in the gutter, but if you have to pick up the bowling ball and bowl. And Jean is one of those clients who not only picked up the bowling ball, but she is just bowling strikes, which is just a testament to all of those things I said. She is gritty. She's intelligent. She's articulate. She knows who she is. And, I find it interesting, Jean, that you got to the place that you got to, but so inspirational that you just decided, I cannot do this anymore. I have to make some changes. And just before Jean started working with us. I mean, Jean, you were the poster child for Ozempic, Wegovy, like any of those weight loss drugs. You're on insulin when you met me. Your situation was dire. And I cannot wait to share in just a month, basically, what a different life you are living. And it just goes to show it is not about a weight loss drug or horrible diet and exercise. There's something else. And that's what you're going to share today. Jean, I'm so excited that you're here.
Thank you. So you're right. When we met, my daily blood sugars were in the 400s, which is the highest level you could be as a diabetic
And be alive.
and be alive. And I was trying, and I would have like what I thought was good food choices, but it wasn't happening. It was like keeping me at that unsustainable level where I just wasn't healthy. I had fatigue, I had joint pain, I was like just miserable. There was mood swings, there was everything that you could say. I have Hashimoto, so like I was constantly getting sick, and I would just kind of eat whenever and whatever I wanted with no caution as to what I was doing. And I went to several endocrinologists, and they were insulin, and I was almost taking a pen full of insulin. And the more insulin they had me take, the more weight I put on and the
Mhm.
more miserable I was being. And I kept saying, there's something else that I should be doing.
Mhm.
What else can I do besides the medicine? I tried Manjaro. Manjaro wasn't for me. Manjaro, the side effects were like awful. And
Mhm.
so I like when I saw your infomercial, I was like, oh, let me see what this is about. And I started it. And I'm gonna be honest, my mom, who I work when like making meal plans with, was like, I don't think it's gonna work. I don't want to. Da, 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 da. But within a week of me starting the program, I started to see changes in my body. I started to see changes in my blood sugar.
Mhm.
Um,
And you're
I did,
wearing a continuous glucose monitor. That's how you knew, because prescribed by your doctor, that's how you knew you were in the 400s. And keep in mind,
correct,
those of you that are watching, your blood sugar should be around the 80 to 120 range. And I always say nobody should have a continuous glucose monitor if you're not actually being monitored with somebody that understands it, because there's a bunch of companies out there that will just sell a monitor, but you have no idea what you're looking at or how to tweak or adjust. So, but you had a monitor and you knew you were at 400. And
correct.
I mean, that was scary to you.
And even more so, like I was telling my doctors, there has to be a different answer to the
Hmm.
medicine because the medicine was making me worse,
Right.
not better.
And what did
And
they
so
say whenever you would say that? What would they say?
they would just kind of shrug their shoulders because they just didn't know. Like their schooling was, you take medicine, you have a
Mhm.
problem, you take medicine. But I kept saying, I feel like we're ripping the band-aid off and we're telling the wound just to heal.
Mm.
And we
Good luck.
didn't get tools to learn how to heal.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that's what I love about this program. This program are the tools.
Yep.
This program helped give me how to heal that portion. And I will be honest, I was nervous because I am the most picky eater you have ever seen. There are certain things that I just won't, but I can't palate.
Yeah.
And
And it really
that
isn't
is
even just like a mindset thing. It's just sort of like this there's texture, sensory, like it's just physically you're unable to. And what did I say to you when do you remember what I said to you when you told me that?
no.
I remember you telling me that, and I'm like, listen, this is what's so different. Like, we're not going to give you a meal plan. Any program that just says you have to eat this, not eat that, and not understand what you want and what you need, you're never going to be able to stick with it, and it's not going to be personalized to you. And I don't know. I love that you trusted me enough to believe me, because people that are really quote unquote identify themselves as picky eaters, I don't think that they've been successful because a lack of education, a lack of respect for what they cannot, or don't want to eat, and a lack of understanding about food. Like, once you
Mhm.
understand food, you understand, okay, this is what I like. And I know if it's a protein, a fat, or a carb, and how I'm going to make that work without tracking or counting or any of that stuff. Right?
And what I loved it during that first month is that you paired me with an amazing coach because I
Coaches.
would like text her and say, "Hey, look, I'm thinking about this or that. This is what the reaction was to my body. Is it normal?" And
Mhm.
so that, like you just said, that educational piece for me, like I'm going to be very honest, I never knew red onion had like sugar in it. And so I started like cooking with it one day, and I think I had a little too much, and my blood sugar went up, and I was like,
Well, that's what's
carrots.
so interesting, because mine doesn't. but your insulin is so sensitive. And
Mhm.
you knowing your body at such a deep level is huge.
Just like, like I felt like going through this process, it taught me my body because like
Mm,
carrots, I had some carrots and it did the same thing. So I
mhm,
know that like I had to modify the portion of what I
mhm.
was having. And the strongest thing that I took away from this program, and I wouldn't have been able to do it without the layered approach of this program, was the power of saying no. My father's
Oh,
birthday came up and I he wanted an ice cream cake, so I got him his ice cream cake. My mom doesn't like ice cream, she does cheesecake. Got the
yep.
dog thing, and I had my blueberries, and I was okay with that because I knew that I was in my clean month and I was making myself healthy. And
Hmm.
so it kind of like presented me with just opportunities. Like for me, Coca-Cola was huge in my life. I couldn't
Oh,
tell you, I couldn't make it through a day without having that. And I don't even want to think about what it was doing to my body. And the biggest thing that I have taken away is I haven't had a Coke since the end of May. So for me, that's
wow.
huge. Anyone that
Yeah.
knows me, that's huge. Fried food, I was like fast and easy. If it was fast and easy, that was me. But my mindset changed from that because I can make healthy fast and easy just as fast as I'm going through the drive-through fast and easy.
I love that you just said that. I love
So
that. It's
yeah.
totally true, especially because it's not about you have to cook these recipes. Or it's about like understanding food. Grab and go can be just as fast and cheaper very often than we realize.
Mhm.
And it's so interesting. Your body absorbs those whole, clean, unprocessed foods in so much of a healthier way. It's not calories in, calories out. Like 250 calories at McDonald's is not the same as 250 calories of a grab and go that you get out of your fridge, a grab and go protein, fat, and carb that's going to balance your blood sugar and give you nutrients that absorb in your body. And it's so amazing to me with how educated you are, how long you've been going through this. There were so many new learnings for you. And that's one of the things you got to look at whether or not you're willing to learn, unlearn, and be coachable. And Jean, you were all of those things. But I want to talk about what happened to your blood sugar after. Now, mind you, you were on insulin, which is important to know because insulin is when a diabetic has to be on insulin, it means your hormone, your insulin producing, insulin is a hormone, and it's been overworking because our body balances blood sugar in one of two ways. It's the foundational core of our bodies to balance its blood sugar. And it balances it in one of two ways, with food or without. And when it has to constantly balance its blood sugar, because the food we're feeding it is causing it to do these huge roller coasters. Well, your body then has to keep releasing insulin to try to mitigate all of this spiking. We call it glycation. And the glycation and we'll talk a little bit more about this is wreaking havoc on your body. It's making you sicker. It's reducing your immunity. It's causing you to gain weight. It's throwing your hormones off. It's causing metabolic disease. It's causing sleep issues, cravings, energy issues, everything. And you were experiencing all of that, Jean. And
Mhm.
so your body kept over releasing insulin. And then your body was like, we can't keep doing this. So now you had to put insulin in your body to help mitigate these spikes. So when you saw us, you were on insulin and your blood sugar was still averaging at the 400 level. Am I right?
Yes.
And so you sent me a text and I saw your CGM data. What was happening just 2 weeks after you started balancing your blood sugar through food?
So my blood sugar went from the 400s down to like 170. And like the highest it went in the first 2 weeks that I was on program may have been 200. But the reason why it would go up to 200 is because I love my fruit. And so sometimes I would have a little too much fruit. And even though I measured, I may have slipped like a little extra in. And so I was like, "Ooh, okay, drink
Yeah.
my water, do what I need to
Yep.
do." And I kept checking the data from the glucose
Yep.
monitor. And so I was sharing with like the other medical staff that I go to, look at my monitor. I'm in the green for a whole month. So
They must
like
have been
now,
like, what are you doing?
correct. And I've been like telling people, they're like, well, what are you doing? What are you doing? I'm like, well, I found a lifestyle change and it's helping me balance not just like I know a lot of your lessons are not about the weight, but like a goal for me was to break a certain numerical band. And I didn't pay attention to it, but I had gone to the primary doctor and I got on the scale and I was just like, and they're like, what? I'm like, I broke my band. I broke my band. Not only did I
In
get my
what, like
blood,
2 weeks?
that was 3 weeks, but in
Okay.
3 weeks, I was able to get myself, I lost 20 pounds. And
Your
that to
body was
me,
just so ready for you to take care of it, you
yeah.
know? Okay.
And the
So
blood
then
sugar has been stable for a month. So, my A1C when I first started was like a 9.4. I dropped down to an 8.4. And so the conversation with the doctor, I'm off of insulin. My body has healed itself. And so I don't require that insulin because I've been pairing my food choices and not even pairing the food choices. I've been putting the food choices in the right order.
Mhm.
So as hungry as I am, I know I can't go to that fruit first because that's going to spike the blood sugar up. So I
But you can
know,
do the fruit. It's just a matter of in that order, right? Like thinking about the order of
correct.
your food. And I love this. This is why it's like I'm never going to tell you what you can or can't have. If Jean, you say to me, I need to have like name it, right? Like let's say you say I need to have ice cream. And first of all, I'm going to say to you, okay, like why? What is that? Is the relationship with food, or is it just like, like we're just going to understand more about it, and then we're going to talk about, okay, that's just a carb and a fat. That's all that it is. Well, how do we pair your food so that it doesn't spike your blood sugar?
And
And
that for me, like no diet in the world teaches you how to do that. Like they give you like the options. And so what I love about this program is that you don't just sit there and say, here's the food. There's a lesson behind it where I'm learning how to do it. There
yeah,
was a moment that I had a question for my coach. And what I love, because my mom was sitting like right there with me. And the person was like, well, you need to go back to your book and look on such and such page and find the
your
information.
coach said
If you
that. Julie said that.
so
Yeah.
I was like, okay. She's like, if you can't find it, I will help you, but I want you to learn how to do it for yourself because eventually you're not going to have me and you have to be able to stand on your own. My mom's like, I love your coach because like when I'm no longer here, you're going to have to do this on your own. These are life lessons. They're not just like diet lessons. There's like other things that are embedded in the way that this lifestyle is going. And so this lifestyle is a lifesaver. Like it has helped me beyond belief. My energy has come back. My blood sugar is stable.
Like your blood
I
sugar is literally in the average range now,
correct. I've been
and you're not
on
on insulin
average.
anymore,
I'm not on
and
insulin
you're
and my
eating
diet
carbs.
and I'm yes, I'm eating like fruits and things that would be
Yeah,
considered carbs. Not
yeah.
like when you say carbs in my head, I still have that bad idea of like a white potato or a piece of bread because like I used to have a white potato at every meal and then
Hmm.
be like, and that just like automatically took my sugar from zero
Right.
to
And
so
this is what's so interesting is like I just got white potatoes in my Instacart delivery. Again, I will never tell people what they can or can't have. We're gonna I want you to feel educated so you make decisions for yourself. I never told you you couldn't have a white potato, right? But what are
right.
you deciding for yourself and why?
See, for me, it's about my reactions when I have the foods, and it's just being cognizant, like in the moment, and noticing, like, when I have this, what's the response?
Yeah.
Like when I went off the clean month and I had gluten for that first time, I learned that I can't do gluten
Mhm.
because for me, I felt like I swallowed a stone or a rock, and I felt awful. And I know that, like Julie had said, pay attention to how you feel when
Yeah.
you bring things back. And
And now
so the
you
other
get to make a decision, and
right,
it's
and the other
easier.
thing is, like, some of the things that I didn't partake in for that clean month, I found that I really didn't miss it when it came back. So it was like for me, like, what do I really need to have? And like one of the
Mhm.
things for me was like, I love to put a little bit of butter in
Mhm.
my eggs.
Yep.
And she was like, well, why do you need that? And I
Mhm.
was like, well, I don't know. I've just always done it. She was
Yep.
like, do you enjoy it without the butter? And I'm like, well, yeah, I did. So sometimes I think I fell into traps with
Yep.
food where it wasn't necessarily that it was serving my soul,
Yeah.
but it was just something that I felt I just wanted. And so digging deep, like I've been using things like I'm not an avocado person, but I'm using avocados like oil to help cook things. I'm doing turkey bacon. I like there are changes that I have made
Yep.
that when you sit there and tell me it's I explored a little bit, but for me it was seeing how my body was responding when I'm
Mhm.
exercising. My workouts became more impactful.
Mhm.
I was able to stretch more, less body ache. My recovery was like quicker after doing an intense like kind of a workout. And so
What
for
a
me,
difference when you fuel your body correctly. I
yeah,
mean, it's just so incredible. So, I think that you brought up a lot of pieces of this, and it is like for you, the domino effect. And I think that this is what's so important. First of all, one was I remember asking you, where are you going to be in a year from now if you don't figure this out? And you were like, this is a matter of life and death. And no
mhm,
longer is it, and I just there's always this difference between weight loss goals and like health goals. And I think you're seeing straight up a weight goal isn't something that is you're going to stick with when you're stressed out, when you have the cake in front of you and you know you need to lose 70 pounds or whatever it is. You're just going to be like, "Ah, forget it. I'm not going to lose 70 pounds by tomorrow. So I'm just going to have the cake." And instead, now you just said when I had gluten, it felt like there was a stone in my body. Now you're just like, I want to be healthy. That doesn't feel right to me. And now it's so much easier to decline if declining
mhm.
is something you want to do. It's no longer about willpower. Would you agree?
I do agree, and I think the other layer that's very important to pull out of this is that when I was not declining and I was just doing whatever I wanted, there were other reasons that I was doing that.
Mm.
So stopping and reflecting has been like huge.
Is it so
Um,
that's where
just
the mindset piece comes in, right? Like I can
correct.
tell you what to eat, but Jean, if I just gave you like the PFC every three approach and just been like, this is what you do, you wouldn't have been able to deal with the emotions that you have with food if I'm just giving you a plan around how to eat PFC every three. I love the concept of eating to balance our blood sugar, but there's so much more behind food and our relationship with it that we keep ignoring when we're looking for the diet or the perfect meal plan.
And I think going through the process, it was broken down beautifully, like a task analysis where you started from like the overall and you broke it down to the most minute task that we needed. And there's been, I love how you always say forgiveness. This is like you have to learn, and it's not about perfection, and it's just it's growth and doing something different every day.
Yeah.
Like, I remember when I started my clean month, I was ending the school year, which can be stressful,
Mm-hmm.
and I was watching as people around me were, like, going and having, like, all these, like, pizza, and they were going out for this, and they were going out for that, and I was like, "What did I do? Why did I pick this time?" But, like, as I delved deeper into the clean month and into the lessons, I realized, like, what was I really missing? I could still do that. I could still go out and I can still enjoy, but my what I ordered previously might not work now. Um, fried foods for me are like, I have gallbladder issues, so like fried foods were killing me.
Mhm.
Literally, if it wasn't the diabetes, it was like the fried food.
Well, it's
So,
all and it's all
like,
connected because that's wreaking havoc on your gut. And don't get me wrong, I had fish and chips the other day, but it's intentional. And I felt like garbage afterwards. And I was like, I will not be doing that for a while.
exactly. So I what I loved is that you took a chance with me, and I was so blessed because everything about this has been like, even when I saw the person at the endocrinologist's office, she's like, "What did you do?" I'm like, "Disruptive
Mm.
nutrition." And she was just like, "Oh, well, whatever it is, it's working for you." And that's the thing. Like, I feel like this program works for me. Other people may not agree, but for me, this has been, and my biggest point is that I was a very hard person because of my food issues and my food sensitivities and my sensory issues, but it worked.
As well as some of
And
your beliefs around food, your body, like a lot of that stuff, you didn't know how to get out of your own way. Let's be honest.
correct.
you know so you are functioning at regular normal balanced blood sugar levels on a regular basis, which is huge. And it's been, I mean, that happened a month after you started working with us. You are now off insulin. So how long did it take you before you went off insulin?
I'm going to say probably the 4 weeks. The four
Oh my,
weeks,
that might be a record. It really might be. And I always said, I'm like, I know that you're 52, but I just felt like you presented like a younger 52 for me. Like you were just, and it was really around your mindset. You were like, you never even questioned it. And I knew you were a good match for us. And I've told you this, and this is no secret. We talk to hundreds of women every week, and most women we know they're not quite ready. We know that they're not you know, ready to quite dig into the last nutritional advice they'll ever need. You were so ready. And I knew it from like the minute I heard you talk, because it was so funny. You were so matter of fact. You're like, I'm not going to make it. And I have to take care of my parents. And you're a single woman, all the single ladies, you're a single woman. And and when I say I don't want my kids to have to take care of me when I'm in my 80s, I don't want that. They are there and they would, but I don't want that. You don't have that as an option. This is
correct.
so urgent for you. You are literally saving your own life. And I just think, gosh, like in such a short amount of time for you to feel this confident, it just goes to show confidence does not come because you've met a goal, because you still have a long way to go. But confidence
Mhm.
comes because you know what you're doing is right. And so many people say, I need to be this weight so I can feel, because I know that when I was that number, I was more confident. Well, you are not at a number that you were before necessarily yet, but you are confident. And it just goes to show it comes from the inside, not from a number on a dang scale. You are seeing progress in every single aspect of your life. And what's amazing that your body released weight so quickly, because very often our body holds on to weight while it heals because it doesn't want to let it go. So it just means your set point hasn't been so ingrained in stone yet. And I love that, because a lot of times by the time we're 50, we've done so much damage that it makes it harder. But you are just young at heart in every way. And so it just goes to show that you have, I believe, another 50 years on this earth to be able to serve your purpose because of what you're doing now, because you said yes to yourself, Jean. I'm so
And the
proud of
most exciting part of this is that I'm transitioning into different fields and I'm going back into kindergarten. And so now I have the energy
you. We talked about
to,
that, right? We knew you were gonna have
Mhm.
you have to get down on the dang floor.
Correct. So now I can sit up, stand up, and it's not going to be like, oh, I'm sore, or like literally when I used to have to work on the floor in my other position, the kids would have to help grab me and pull me up sometimes, or I'd have to do the bear walk to get up. So like I feel like now I don't have to do all that because there's energy and um even like with like and again to certain people they're going to be like, well, we knew that. Like I my every day I learn something different. Like when
Yeah.
I was listening to the podcast about exercise, it was so poignant for me because I'm a cardio girl. I grew up in the
Yeah, you do
80s where
water aerobics too, right?
I do water aerobics and I do jazzercise, and I
Yeah.
love it because they're both like very different.
Yep.
Jazzercise, there's weight management built in. The
Yep.
aquatics, we do it, but it's not as rigorous as jazzercise. And so listening to the podcast where if I really wanted to lose my body fat, I need to do more strength training. So I was like, how do I do that? How do I create that schedule where I can layer that in, where I can do that? So that's
And that's what you're learning, right? Like you're learning how to create those schedules using your coach to help you figure that out and establishing a lifestyle so you're not taking away from the caregiver responsibilities, from the educator that you are, from the friend that you are, from the life that you have, but adding to it in a way. So, I mean, it's amazing. Do you feel like you even have more time than you did before? Like, have you created time for yourself?
I have, and I feel like I'm accomplishing more, like
Mhm.
things that I would always push off. I feel like because I'm more sequential in how I'm approaching tasks, I'm getting more done. And like I'm in a purging part of my life too, where if it doesn't serve my purpose, I'm like
I
letting it
love
go.
that. I love
And
that.
so I feel like it's kind of a theme. I'm purging toxins and just
Yep.
things from my body that don't serve me. I'm doing the same thing in my living quarters. And
I hear that
so
from so many people, and taking a deep dive into your systems and the chaos that might be around you, and how do you streamline, simplify, and really get focused on the things that really matter. The discipline of declining, which I love teaching, not because you have to say no, but because, everything we can do, but everything is not necessarily beneficial for us. And actually making the decisions to serve yourself with a view of longevity versus an in the moment kind of a thing allows you to start having that belief and mindset for every aspect of your life, around your relationships with other people, around the environment you decide to surround yourself in, the physical environment, the emotional environment, the mental environment. And it all just translates into the healthiest version of you. What does the healthiest version of you do, say, think, and believe? And so I'm so excited because you're not even fully through all of your initial honeymoon period and
uh,
learning, and you'll have so much to do because you're with us for a lifetime. And anybody out there trying to figure out what your next step is, if you are in a program and or approach that makes you track and count and keep track of your foods on an app, or if you have to pay a membership fee or buy certain products in order to be able to be a part of it, those are all diet industry tricks to keep you coming back. It's got to be around, uh, I believe, a relationship, not just with you and your body, but around the people that are with you and supporting you. And they're going to wrap their arms around you. And that's what we're doing with Jean. And that's what Jean then will do with others that come into our family. Am I
mhm,
right?
that's true. Yep.
I love it. Jean, you're inspirational. So, as you are listening or watching Jean and myself right now, please put in the comments what you're learning from Jean. Jean, could you have ever imagined? I know it would have been like a dream of yours, but could you have really imagined that a month after you and I said yes, that you would have made the progress that you made?
No, because I had failed and been so frustrated for such a long time. But the program gave me faith, not just in the program, but in myself.
Yes.
And it was a building block that I needed. And like you said, it was just when I saw you on the Instagram, I don't know, it was just something made me click on it. And it was the best choice that I could have. And again, for me. And so, anyone out there who's a finicky eater or is nervous that they can't do it, I'm here to tell you that you can do it. And the the program has so many scaffolds built into it. You have coaching, you have a supportive Facebook group. I mean, the people that are on Facebook are amazing. I love the questions, and I think Jen is the young lady who does the recipes. So I
Yep.
kind of look to see, like, you don't need a cookbook. You don't have to overthink it because there's everything that you need, and it's a one-stop shop. And so everything is broken down for you. And it's just I love the resources that get supported with it. And so it's like my favorite. I'm like, okay, it's time for Carrie. It's time for like
I
Carrie.
have people that send me pictures of like me up on their TV screen because they're streaming me on their TV screen. It cracks me up. But I think what's so uh what's so powerful is that very often if you're talking to your doctor, I mean, our number one clients here are doctors, nurses, and teachers. You're a teacher. But the lack of education is really causing the fact that they're going with the remedy of medication. But also, let's be honest, they don't trust us. The doctors have no reason to trust that we're really going to be able to stick with something because let's face it, diets are meant and set up for us to fail and keep coming back and coming back and coming back. So if our doctors are like, listen, we can't even stick with these diets. We know it's going to be impossible for you to, and this is dire, then they're going to go with the medication choice too. But why not do something different to see if you get something different first before you go down that path? I mean, the bottom line is you are off medications and
Correct. The other
continuing,
thing that I just want to
continuing.
touch base on with medication is that we were kind of talking about this before. When
Yep.
I was doing my clean month, I was taking some medicine for my Hashimoto, and I didn't realize it was made out of gluten. And the name brand was also made of gluten. So here I was thinking, okay, I'm staying off of gluten for my clean month so I can kind of reset myself. And here I am taking a medicine that was supposed to help make me better, but it's actually making me worse. And the medicine that will help make me better, I can't get in an everyday pharmacy. And so, like, this process has opened my eyes to
Mhm.
so much, to food, to mindsets, to thinking. Recently, I had a very stressful situation, and I could have blown up like I used to do, but I didn't. I took a step back and just did some inward reflection, and it wasn't as bad. I would have not been able to do that had I not gone through all the facets with
Mhm.
this program.
And
And
you've only scratched the surface, girlfriend.
yeah,
There's still so much more ahead. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. You make a really good point about the medication because if a medication has gluten in it and we're not even aware, and while you have been having gluten for a really long time, because there were so many things going on in your body, I say it's like a callus. It's almost like, is the gluten causing anything? I don't, like, a lot of people will say, I feel fine on gluten. And I encourage people to say, what if we didn't have gluten for about a month? And I give you a million other alternatives so you won't even miss it. And let's just see what your body does. And then you said you had gluten after that first month and it felt like a stone in your body. Imagine what was happening with you having that amount of gluten or gluten every single day and having it in your medication. So, what's interesting is that one of the reasons you took this medication was because during the school year, your immune system is compromised with Hashimoto's, and you needed to have that so that you wouldn't get sick. But another piece of the puzzle that we have to consider that you learned with us was that because your blood sugar was so elevated, you were glycating so often, and that's impacting your immune system. And so, what if, because now you're balancing your blood sugar on its own, your immune system is naturally improving and you're not on that medication right now? And you'll see how it goes. But I think it's just very, very powerful for you to be now truly your own nutrition coach and your own advocate for yourself because you know so much more now and you're educating your doctors.
correct.
It's incredible, Jean. I'm so proud of you. You're going to have to come back. on the podcast in a few more months and give us an update of how you're doing. But I know that you're inspirational. Please drop in the comments what you're taking away from your conversation with Jean, how she's inspiring you, because I want you to think about you being in this position where Jean was just over a month ago and now where she is inspiring others. That's a pretty incredible journey. So I think it deserves a round of applause and some really fabulous comments. I love you, Jean. I'm so glad you said yes to yourself and that I'm humbled in how much trust you put in me with your life. I don't take that lightly. I love you. Thank you.
Me too.
Bye.
Bye bye.